So,
It's
like, to say that
yeah.
these games, it's like no one ever upsets anyone and it's just they're not exciting. No, it's just not true, in my
Like you
opinion.
just weren't watching, but
You just
okay.
didn't
Even
watch.
like
All right. Welcome back to the PreWrap. I don't really have a voice this week, but that is okay because I have a lot to say and I feel like both of you do too.
yeah,
We
I would say
go go go.
no, I would say
Cindy's
your
like
voice
one
is better
signal.
than last week.
Really? You missed it. I like did not have a voice at all like 3 days ago. I was literally like, which made me even more annoying because I was trying to talk and I couldn't. But thank you. I appreciate it. Um, we are still virtual, but that is okay because we have a lot to say and we are midway through the tournament. We've watched a lot of games and we've had some upsets. And I know, Catherine,
Yes.
you've been saying you've had some stuff to say about the discourse around the upset discourse. So I wanted to know if you wanted to add anything to that.
Okay, yeah. Well, Lucy kind of started that too of because Lucy's like our resident like Twitter intern. Like
Yes.
she's like always on Twitter.
My
But
finger's on the pulse.
yeah, literally ear to the ground. But she was talking about how people were saying online that it's how people are upset that like there's not a lot of upsets in the first round and that you only get exciting basketball in the second round of the women's tournament. And we were talking about how that's just like really annoying. And I was saying the problem, quote unquote, that there's not as many upsets is that the fact that women's basketball doesn't have as much investment and as much money in their women's programs across the board in the way that men's basketball does. So obviously in the first round you're going to see not as much of an even spread. It's not there's going to be more of a gap. It's just the way it is. Like I don't like, you know what I mean? Like Colorado State doesn't have the same investment as UConn. Like that's just the
Right.
way it is, you know. Like you
Right.
in the like 8, 9 games you get something more interesting, but in like a 3 like 12 game or a 1 like 16 game it's gonna be very different. I
Right.
don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah,
Well,
also you can see it like this tournament with the Virginia like Cinderella
that's what
story,
I
like
was
the
gonna
best story of the
say.
tournament.
Yeah,
Alexis
shocking.
Ohanian
Yes.
donated a bunch of money, like this big donor to the Virginia women's basketball program, and now like within a year they're here in the Sweet 16.
Right.
Like the
Exactly.
proof is in the pudding, guys.
Right. Right.
Exactly. You
So
took the
I just feel
words
like
right out of my mouth, Lucy.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, I just feel like also this is every single year I see this, and I don't know why it gets me every time. Every year I'm like, like how can you say this? And it's like every single year it happens, and every year I'm shocked and disturbed. But because I
Well,
also feel like a lot of these people aren't actually watching. I'm like there were a lot of close games. There have been upsets, so like it just doesn't even like that's just not even true what you're saying.
yeah.
Like
Well, it's like you're
Exactly.
just like scrolling through looking at the scores
yeah,
and stuff like that.
yeah, you're
Even
not.
like I felt like even Syracuse Iowa State was an upset. Like I know
Yeah,
that that was like
you-
an 8, 9 game, but that was surprising for me at least.
yeah, no, it was. And USC beat
Yep.
Clemson in overtime.
Yep.
I did not call
There were a
that.
lot of other like close games with history. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, I think I did, but then they got blown out the next round. But it's
Yeah.
fine. I felt
And
like NC
then
State over Tennessee. Like I called NC State, but it was kind of like a spiritual upset because just
hmm
like Tennessee
hmm
losing in the first round is like a spiritual upset.
And obviously, and even Virginia, Georgia, like
Yeah,
I
that
did
and they
was
not
were like
call
a
that
first
at
four
all.
team
Yes.
oh
upsets all the way.
yeah.
Honestly, like, do you think they could beat TCU? Maybe.
If
TCU
there
won in
the
overtime
spirit
too. Who did they beat?
Washington.
yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
spirit
So,
may
I
be
mean, it took
on
them like
Virginia's
overtime.
side.
Virginia,
If
I feel like is just very confident, and they're just kind of like,
they
they're
look
we
really
believe in
confident.
ourselves, and yeah, they
yeah.
look
And it
confident,
really
which
helps to
Yeah.
is
have a billionaire backing your program, like you said.
right.
Yep.
But there's been a
Right.
lot of close
So,
games. I mean, I know I talk about them all the time because they're like, this is my like hood, but like Louisville and Kentucky both squeaked by. Louisville and Kentucky
Yeah.
only won by
Crazy.
1 point. 1 point.
Yeah.
Uh,
So it's like
both
literally
both
shaking
teams only won
watching.
by 1 point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. By
Kentucky.
So
one, like
so
it's
like to say that
yeah.
these games, it's like no one ever upsets anyone, and it's just they're not exciting. No, it's just not true, in my
Like you
opinion.
just weren't watching, but
You just
okay.
didn't
Even
watch.
like Notre Dame, Ohio State is like a huge upset. Like
Yes.
obviously like Notre Dame is a very storied program, but just for the year that they've had, I was not expecting that at all.
No. And they won
So,
by 10. Also, Jerome Cambridge had
yes,
41 points. Imagine you score
I
41 points and you
know.
lose by
Like,
10.
I feel
It's
like Notre Dame
insane.
like kind of had control of most of that game, to be
They
honest, like
Yeah.
did.
all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
So I don't know.
this is getting to something that I feel very passionate that I must talk about. And that is that
Yes.
and that is that all season I have been being like, what is going on with the committee like loving on the Big Ten? I don't really, or the ranking committees loving on the Big Ten. I like, not that I think that the Big Ten is bad, like a bad conference, but I don't think I understand how like what makes this play like so much better than like the ACC or the Big 12. Well, if we are to look to see which teams from which conferences are now in the Sweet 16 of the tournament, we have 6 SEC teams, 5 ACC teams, 3 Big 10 teams, 1 Big 12 team, 1 Big East team. And I also feel like I do have to call myself out because if you look at my bracket, I've
You didn't trust me that.
I didn't stick to my truth. I did not stick to my truth, and I should have stuck to my truth. And my truth is that I think the ACC is much better than they've been given credit for all season. And then I picked like all of them to lose in the second round. So I'll both give myself flowers for like being on this train and also take some of them away for not following through on the train, but that's fine. Um, yeah, how are we reacting to the breakdown of the team?
I think it's interesting. I think you made a good point about the Big Ten earlier in the year of that it was just really hard to tell how good they actually were because it was like UCLA and then it was a little bit like everybody else kind of just like in the pack trading games and stuff like that. And I think it's really showing. I feel like the SEC teams do really well in the tournament, I feel like
Yeah,
usually. And
always.
because I feel like when you get to the tournament, it's all about like not all, but a lot of it is about physicality, and the SEC like really brings that and like asserts themselves. So that doesn't surprise me, but I feel like the ACC, like, what do you think is making them so successful?
I don't know. Like I feel like it is like I think it's the coaches. I think the coaching in the
Hmm.
ACC is just like really high quality. And I think like I don't know if you look at like Carol Lawson, Jeff Walls, like those two kind of I feel like have been like cream of the crop. Oh my gosh, I can hear your cats. Are they
My
fighting?
cats are fighting.
You're joining the pod.
They're wrestling. Oh my God. Wait, sorry, what were you saying?
It's so funny. I just feel like they're really good coaches. And I think like they get good players, but I think like these are coaches that have been around the block for a really long time and like know how to develop players. Like I don't know. I can talk about Louisville because like that's a program I followed really closely for a really long time. Like Jeff Walls like gets these players, like two of them are from like Eastern Europe, and they're these like six. They're both like 6'3", and they're like centers who can shoot the three. It's like where did you find these people? So I think like, they are very like creative in their recruiting, and they like know like the X's and O's of the game like really well. Um, and they both have tournament experience. What's going on?
It's actually pure
They want to be
chaos.
involved. I
Um,
agree with you.
yeah, I agree with you too.
Lucy, you're an
But
ACC truther. What do you
how
think?
how many AC? Do you remember how many ACC teams were in the Sweet 16 last season? I feel like the ACC
Mm.
wasn't performing that well last season, and I feel like that was like also, I don't know,
Can you fact
dragging
check?
down my opinion of because
Yeah, I'm looking.
So, but what I thought was so interesting was like in season there were like more teams that it seemed like were competing for like who could be the best team in the ACC. And then like this year
yeah,
everyone's talking about how the ACC is underperforming. These like teams that are usually so good aren't good this year. And yet they're performing better in the tournament. And I feel like in the Big
Yeah.
Ten, like
yeah,
we just talk about like some of the same programs over and over again. Like I think this year Michigan like really stepped it up, and obviously people have been talking about Iowa. Like Ohio State usually like makes
Yeah.
some noise in the tournament, but I feel like they've gone out in the first couple rounds the last couple years. Like I don't know. I I I feel a little vindicated, and this is
yeah,
why I think that
yeah. You should.
UCLA is in
I
a
feel like I was
dangerous
a slight
spot.
ACC hater this season also, so I'm eating my words. Or not a hater, but I just didn't think that they were like definitely I would not have had five making it to the Sweet 16 versus
Yeah.
three
No,
from the Big
I
Ten.
didn't. I didn't pick any of them. Like I didn't really pick any of them, even though I've been yelling about this. But
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's just an interesting year for the ACC. It's just very interesting.
Yeah.
Who do you think
And
of the ones that are in the what? No, go.
no, and I'm saying like the ones that made it in that I did not think were going to make it in are Notre Dame and
Notre Dame.
UNC. And they both
Yeah.
beat
It's crazy.
very strong Big Ten teams to get to where they are.
That's true.
Like
That's
Notre
true.
Dame beat Ohio State and North Carolina beat Maryland.
Yeah.
I think only, let's see.
And UNC won by like almost 10 or something, like double.
Yes. I never
Yeah.
would have I did not expect that from them. I did
I
not
think a lot
expect
of
that
these
from
ACC
them.
teams are also like kind of rolling towards the end of their season.
I think only
Yeah.
three teams last year made it to the Sweet 16 for ACC teams. It was
Yeah,
North
Louisville got
Carolina,
upset.
Duke.
Duke,
Duke.
and Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Notre Dame. And then Notre
Yeah.
Dame lost to TCU in the Elite Eight. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot less. It's increased by 100%.
I know.
Which one of
But
them do you think has a chance of going to the Elite Eight? Like, how many do you think are going to be in the Elite Eight?
well, not
Yeah,
UNC.
let's see.
Not
Not
UNC
UNC.
because they're playing UConn.
Nope.
I feel like I
um
would call Virginia just for fun. I think I would call Virginia over TCU.
wow, you think they're on a train
I
and they're
think
rolling.
I mean, I don't know if I like deep down think that, but I feel like the vibes are saying that they're gonna keep it rolling.
I
Ooh,
know. They have
They'll
they're vibing right now. They have high vibes.
you think? That would
yeah,
be crazy.
that would be
That would
crazy.
be
But it
so
was crazy that
crazy.
they beat Iowa
We beat
at on
Iowa.
Iowa's home court
Oh,
Oh my
I
god.
at
also I also do kind of like I could kind of see Notre Dame like doing something crazy too.
right. A fun
Duke,
I
little.
know.
LSU?
I know. LSU, I think is. I think I would if I had to bet my life on it, I would call LSU. But I feel like Duke could totally win that game.
I feel like
It's
I
like
feel
in
like Kim
Sacramento.
Mulkey's like so locked in.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
I don't know if Duke has. Uh, I don't know if Duke has LSU this year. especially
Yeah.
because it's Flage's senior year and Kim Mulkey's like calling like local radio
Yeah.
stations and crying about it. You know what I mean? Like she's like really, she loves that kid.
Yeah, I feel like
So I
also
don't know.
just their tournament experience is like really valuable in this situation.
So there could be 0 ACC teams in the Elite Eight after 5 in the Sweet
Dude, could you
16.
imagine though? The Virginia upset would be nuts.
Virginia, yeah. I feel like Louisville
Virginia,
is the best chance.
Yeah, Louisville
I
does
think
kind of have.
Looking at
Louisville.
who like the other ACC teams are playing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Michigan is one of those teams that's like when they perform, they like really perform, and when they're off, you're like, wait, I don't even know what's going
We
on with
talked
you
about
right now.
we talked about this at the beginning about how they always like have this weird slow little start and
Yeah.
then second half they want to lock in. Like Olivia Olson had
yeah.
all like 26 or was it 27 of her points in their last game in the second half. I'm like, what were you doing the entire first half? And I feel
Well,
like maybe they can't really do that
I also
again.
And I
feel like
feel
just the
like
second half. Oh, sorry, no, you go,
no, no,
Sadie,
go
go.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I feel like the second half of their, or even like the last quarter of their season in general was like pretty inconsistent.
Yeah.
Um, and even how they played in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah. And what I will say is that Louisville kind of has the opposite problem. Is they like roll in the first half and then like the second half the other team comes back and you're like stop, stop, stop.
So it's
Like
gonna be balanced out.
yeah, so it's like what is it? Unstoppable force meets it's like it's
Yeah.
immovable object. Like that's kind of what I feel like this Michigan Louisville game is gonna be. Like
If
I don't know
Island
what to
Sports and Olivia
expect.
Olson were both locked in, like Michigan can totally win. I
Yeah,
would call Michigan. I chose Michigan in my bracket,
yeah,
but I
I
fear
think I
for them.
chose Michigan
Well,
too.
I picked Louisville in my
I feel like
bracket, and I fear for them.
it's gonna be similar for like Vandy, like Notre Dame. Like I feel like it's gonna be like Michaela Blake's and like Hannah Hidalgo,
Yeah,
and
I
like
think the difference in
who is
that game is
carrying their
going to be their like periphery characters. Like
yeah
I would take
supporting cast.
I would take the supporting cast of Vanderbilt over the supporting cast of Notre Dame, and that's
Definitely.
why I picked them to win.
Yeah, I think so too.
You think it's Hannah Hidalgo versus like Michaela Blake's or Hannah Hidalgo versus like Aubrey Galvin, like in terms of matchup? That's what's troublesome for Notre Dame for me. Like I feel like they have their one star like Michaela Blake's, but they also have like Aubrey Galvin, who like is so fun to watch. Every time I watch her, I'm like, wow, look at her go, just
I know she
sprinting
looks
up and down
so
with her headband.
tiny. She's
Oh
like,
yeah,
and they say
Yeah,
that
it's
she's 5'6",
crazy.
and I look at her, I'm like, you are not 5'6".
So crazy.
I don't know how tall
I
but
she is,
also
but
feel
I
like
don't think she's 5'6".
I think she's 5'6". Well, she's listed 5'6". I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. She's
I feel like
listed
she's
as 5'6",
6.
but she
You
does
think
not
she's
look.
shorter than that?
Yes, she looks smaller on the court than that.
But she's around tall people.
That's what it is. I
I
feel like
know,
she's just
but
around people that are so tall.
Hannah Hidalgo is also listed as 5'6".
5'6".
So
She's
what we need
5'6"
to
for, I
do?
thought she was like 5'8".
No, she's 5'6". She's very small. So what we need to do when we
Wow.
watch this game is compare. Who's lying?
That's them
One of
next to
you
each
is
other.
not
Yeah.
telling the
True,
truth.
true. I feel like
Okay.
also though, even if Notre Dame loses, I feel like this was such a good like tournament showing, and like even when they beat like Louisville too, like I feel like their end of the
Yeah.
season has been so strong that like they could have such a good year next year because people will be like, oh, like I want to play with Hannah. I want to
Yeah.
like if
Yeah.
they can make it this far with like the team that they have, I think that that could attract like good talent for the following year.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree.
And
I'm trying to think of
once
the other.
again,
I
I
feel like
will
South
say.
Carolina should
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
say it. No, no, say
And
it.
once again, I will
Say
say,
it
what
first
a
before.
shame. What a shame that TCU and Notre Dame are not in the same region.
Oh, they're not okay.
Not seeing that.
That would be
It would
so
be,
must see TV.
Do
it's
you
so
think they just were like,
unlike
we just
them.
can't do this like 2 years in a row, but I'm like
No,
that shouldn't stop them. But it's just
No,
like were they just like,
it's
oh, like this
so
already
unlike
happened
them.
last year? It would be even better. It
it
would
would
be
be
even better
better.
because it's like they lost to TCU, then Olivia Miles went to TCU, and then
I
all the drama
know.
happened. Like it's just like, why would you not?
I
I
don't
think it's
know.
just
It's
such a
like the
missed
Syracuse coach being like, "Why
opportunity.
do we always have to play UConn?"
I know.
They always have to play UConn, but then their committee's not going to put TCU Notre Dame again.
So
I
good.
do want to talk about that too. I wrote down some of her quotes, like,
Ooh,
and I think
because
like,
you agree.
well, this is what I think. I think that this conversation. Okay, so basically, this is from Felicia Leggett Jack. I think that's how you say her last name. And she's the head coach of Syracuse. She's been coaching for like 37 years. She's been in this game for a really long time. She coached at Buffalo, then she went to Syracuse. She's been there for forever. She's had a lot of success at Syracuse. I think that while she was their coach, they played for a national championship against UConn and lost. So like this is someone who's like really been around the block. Okay, she's saying for us to have to come to UConn and play at UConn year after year after year, I think the is unfair. And I understand why the committee like has them play UConn or puts them in the same region as UConn every year, and it's because they try to schedule people close to home for the fans. Like, right? So
Right.
the quote that she said in the press conference that got the less press than this like quote that has kind of been heard everywhere. The quote that's been heard everywhere is like, for us to continue to come to Connecticut year after year is to me, it's a personal attack. That's the quote that's been like everywhere because it's like a good quote, right? We're journalists, like we get it. But the thing that I feel like she said that was most indicative is I couldn't simulate what we were going to face, and I recognized that in the shoot around. I saw the distraction. I saw the looks in seeing all those Final Four championships. And I saw the weight go on the back of those young ladies' heels and to the point where they couldn't make free throws. And so I knew that we were in trouble at around 2:30 this
Ugh.
afternoon. So she's not saying like UConn is the best team in the country. I don't want to play them. What she is actually talking about is the fact that women deserve to play in neutral sites. Well, like
Yeah.
what
Hmm.
I'm extrapolating from this conversation because I think like okay, yeah, they got blown out and it was like their worst loss in program history in the NCAA tournament, which is like that's
Right.
bad. Okay, like that's bad. And so yeah, she is going in there and she's saying like look, we have to play them every single year and it's annoying. Okay? We have to play them all the time. But what I want to like extrapolate from this conversation, it's like yes, it's about playing UConn, but I think more so it's like you're walking into UConn's gym and you're seeing all this history and you're seeing like all this stuff and then you're like expected to just have like the greatest game of your entire life. And it's like maybe
Right.
there's a bigger possibility that that could happen in a neutral site than it is in their home gym. I like this
Or even like
our game has grown. Like we need to be in neutral sites. It's just like ridiculous that we're not. That's how I feel.
I also kind of feel like, well, one, like it's a little bit like every team is gonna have their worst loss in program history this year playing UConn. But I
Right.
also do think it is a little bit like, if I was Syracuse, I would rather play in somebody else's like home gym or like in their somebody else's arena than like UConn's arena. Or like it's just it's just ridiculous. Like it just is like a little bit ridiculous. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it is more about obviously it is trying to be like, oh, we're gonna bring in the fans. It's the East Coast. It's like more local, but at the end of the day, when it's UConn, like it's not.
Right. Also, like
Right.
more fans into UConn's gym. Like UConn's gonna have all the fan. Like
Doesn't
that's
really
a bunch of
matter.
Huskies. Like that's not. It's not
Yeah.
a bunch of orange. You're not gonna be seeing a lot of orange in this.
Okay, guys, this is Sydney in voice memo mode. In classic fashion, our audio got cut out, or specifically my audio got cut out. So basically, the rest of this episode is unusable, unfortunately, and our conversation about who we're picking for the Elite Eight is just not going to be in this episode. But if you want to know who we pick, you should go to the 303 Instagram, where all of our picks can be seen. So thank you for listening, and we will see you again next week.